This program is sponsored by the Durell Institute at Shenandoah University, a nonprofit organization dedicated to research and education in the areas of history, economics, political science, law, and related disciplines concerning money and banking in the United States. Economics. Just the word creates a sense of complexity. Numbers, charts, and graphs nobody can understand. Yet economics impacts each and every one of our lives, every day. If you're watching this, you know that business and economics education in this country leaves a lot to be desired. A poll by the National Center for Economic Research shows high school seniors couldn't answer 75% of even the most basic questions about our economy. Perhaps that's why 2/3 of the states have now mandated economics be taught in high school. Teachers are struggling to hammer out curriculum to fulfill those requirements, but there aren't a lot of appropriate materials available. Now, the Durell Institute of Monetary Science has developed a unique series of 5 teaching kits to help teachers become more effective in teaching economics-oriented social studies courses. The ABCs of Personal Finance, Business and Consumer Economics, Demystifying the Stock Market, the ABCs of Money and Banking, and Exploring the Global Economy. Education doesn't get more relevant than this. The Durell Institute is a not-for-profit, nonpartisan organization based in the Harry F. Byrd School of Business at Shenandoah University in Winchester, Virginia. Its mission is to further education in business, economics, and finance, and to provide low-cost teaching materials as part of its public service mandate. The 5 teaching kits are designed to be interactive, easy to use, and easy to understand. To simplify the sometimes complex issues covered in the materials, the Institute turned to economics educator John Charles Poole and his associates, Robert Frick, a financial journalist and editor, and economics professors David Pate of St. John Fisher College and Steve Stamos from Bucknell University.
I've been teaching economics for quite a long time now, and perhaps the most important thing I've learned is that most students come to class expecting to be bored with a lot of graphs and mathematics that don't have anything to do with their personal lives. And I'm sorry to say that with economics, that's often the case. But it doesn't have to be that way. That was the point of our little book called The Instant Economist. It's also the point of the newspaper column we write of the same name. And it's the point of this series of teaching kits we've developed. When you get right down to it, economics is mostly about just a very few simple points that you can use to understand and analyze an amazing number of things. For example, take personal finance, something that everybody needs to understand.
When we were asked to create a kit about personal finance, we found a handful of useful points about economics and finance that students could apply to most of their personal financial challenges. To teach these concepts, we recommend you start by showing the videotape in the ABCs of Personal Finance kit.
Plans? Well, sure, I've got plans. When I get out of here, I plan to have a big house with a pool. And I gotta have a stereo in every room. And 2 cars. A convertible for the summer, and a Range Rover for the winter. What about you? You have any plans?
College, I guess. Money to travel for sure. A 40-foot sailboat, But there's no way, Dan. You gotta be born rich. A doctor or a lawyer to afford all this.
My economics teacher says that this CD-ROM will show us how to make $1 million.
In this kit, we've created a guide who we call Money Man, who shows 2 high school students the ins and outs of personal finance.
Hey, who are you?
I'm Money Man, the man with the plan. And if you want cash to stash, you'll need a plan, Dan and Fran.
The videotape can be viewed as an introduction, supplying an overview of the key concepts to be covered in the course. Using the book, accompanying exercises, and teacher's guide, you can develop key themes, such as discovering who your financial allies and enemies are.
That's right, folks. For only $100 down and $177 a month, you can drive off in this pretty enjoyed vehicle today. We give credit to anyone.
For example, Money Man gives the basics about buying a car. The teacher develops the concepts of loans, interest, and savings. And students work through selecting a car to buy using your local newspaper and a workbook exercise. The ABCs of Personal Finance Kit includes a textbook, a student workbook, a video, teacher's guide, transparencies, and a wall chart that shows how different investments will grow over your students' lives. When you're finished, your students will have the keys to a prosperous financial future and have a solid understanding of important economic concepts. And they'll have had some fun along the way. The success of the ABCs of Personal Finance, like the other Durell Institute teaching kits, is in the way complex topics are explained in easy-to-understand examples that relate to your students' own experiences. For example, suppose you want to teach your students about the 4 factors of production and how they contribute to delivering products for sale on the open market. As concepts, your students may find these subjects complicated, dry, and intimidating. But here's a simple way to present a topic.
Let's just think about what it takes to make something. Let's take tomatoes, for example. What does it take to grow tomatoes, say in a flower pot on your patio? Not much, it would seem, because it's no big deal to grow tomatoes. Let's see. We need tomato seeds, a pot, some soil, some water, fertilizer, insecticide, a little bit of sun, some space, a pole, some string, a hoe, some labor, and some know-how, and some money to buy all that stuff. Also, you need some willingness to risk that money on this project.
With this simple, easy-to-understand example, we can clearly illustrate the 4 factors of production and how they interact in the production process. We used land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Land is the space we had to rent for the plant to grow. Labor is the time we spent working on planting and caring for the plant. Capital is 2 things. It's the money we spent on the project, and it's the physical things we had to buy, the pot, the soil, the seeds, the fertilizer, and so on. Entrepreneurship is the know-how and managerial skills we had to apply to the project, plus the risk we took of losing our money if things didn't work out. If we had more time, we could use this simple example to illustrate a lot of other seemingly complicated economic principles. Like, for example, how do the factors of production get paid? Here's where the money comes in. Land gets paid rent. Labor gets paid wages. Capital gets paid interest. And entrepreneurs get paid profits. We can also illustrate another basic principle of economics with this example. It's called the law of diminishing returns.
Suppose we want to increase the output of tomatoes. Now, how do we do that? We can add more fertilizer, more water, but what happens if we add too much, given that the size of our pot isn't going to get any bigger? We don't get more tomatoes, we'll probably get fewer. In fact, too much fertilizer will kill the plant.
Now we've illustrated that production of anything is subject to diminishing returns so long as we can't change the size of our physical resources, in this case, the size of the pot. So how do you teach something like that and still make it fun and simple at the same time? You could have your students make up a list of what it takes to produce tomatoes in a flower pot. You could write it on the board, or use the overhead transparency that comes with the Business and Consumer Economics Kit, and place each item in its proper category. Or have the students do it as a homework assignment. By doing that, you've gotten your students involved and illustrated one of the most basic laws of economics at the same time. Then, of course, there's the stock market.
Oh, 5,000 Danny traded 30, 44 limit, 1.500 DC.
Here, 12.5 and 8. 12.5 and 8.
Everybody's interested in the stock market because that's where money can be made, but very few understand it. Maybe that's because it looks so complicated and intimidating. But even the stock market and all the nuances of investing can be explained in simple ways. Let's look at the Demystifying the Stock Market kit to see how. We use a simple roller coaster in our Demystifying the Stock Market kit to drive home the point that the stock market has its ups and downs. Despite that uncertainty, we show that over time, the stock market beats all other types of investments. And we also expand on stock investing by showing the importance of diversification and mutual funds.
I think I'll just try a few stocks in some big companies, maybe in different industries. One company I've been reading about is Aardvark Construction.
Yes, that's a good, solid company. Now, I could also suggest a few stocks in other industries to diversify your account.
We help your students explore stock investing by games and exercises that take them inside their local newspapers in a search for data and clues. Then our book on the stock market explores investing techniques, including cutting-edge concepts made simple. By the time your students have seen the video, read the book, and worked through the exercises, they'll not only have a practical knowledge, they'll have learned about the key economic principles that drive the financial markets. It's rare to find two economists who can agree on what the government should do to regulate our nation's economy. But these complex issues, which we know as macroeconomics, have been clearly explained in the ABCs of Money and Banking teaching kit. Using the bathtub theorem, we illustrate the economy as a bathtub, viewed in cross-section. The bathtub has two faucets and two drains. It also has some water in it, the level of which represents the level of full employment, about 125 million jobs in the U.S. economy. The government's job is to keep the water level just where it is, at full employment. But there's a problem. With two drains, the water's constantly running out. One drain represents savings. What happens if savings leak out of the economy? Part of our income is not being spent, which means somebody loses their job. Or, put another way, the water level is falling, which is bad news. So to prevent that, we turn on one of the faucets, the investment faucet, which creates jobs. Like when a new factory is built, it creates jobs for all the construction workers who build it. That increases the flow of water into the tub and keeps the water level at full employment, which is what we want. The point is that when investment is flowing into the economy, the tub, as fast as savings flow out, that is, the savings are being used for investment, then we can maintain full employment. A similar thing happens with the other drain, taxes. When taxes take money out of the economy, someone is going to lose their job, unless the government takes the taxes and spends them, that is, injects them back into the economy. If government spending equals taxes, then we can still maintain full employment. So macroeconomics is a question of fine-tuning. The faucets have to be constantly adjusted to keep the water level at full employment.
How do you teach this to students? You get them involved with what's going on in the economy. There's always something happening relating to fiscal and monetary policy. Those are the tools we use to try to keep the bathtub full without the water running over. Then you let them decide how they would use the tools to either slow down the economy or to speed it up or just leave it alone.
Another teaching kit, Exploring the Global Economy, tackles international economics.
International economics is a little more complicated because there are more players and two sides to everything, their side and our side. We want to sell as much to other countries as we can. They want to sell as much to us as they can. So there's a conflict built into the system even before you get started.
The same bathtub theorem can be used here as an easy way to explain the effect of imports and exports on our jobs and our economy, and government's role in regulating trade. We saw how government can adjust the spending and investment faucets to maintain the water level at full employment. Now let's add two more sources of leaks and injections, imports and exports. Notice that exports are flowing into the tub even though they're sent out of the country when they're sold. That's because exports generate income and create jobs here in our economy. So that's money flowing into the economy. Imports do just the opposite. The goods flow into the country and we get to enjoy them, but the money flows out of the economy and creates jobs for someone else. So that's a leakage from our point of view, but an injection from their perspective.
That's why I said earlier that there always are two sides to everything when it comes to international economics. If you can just make that point to students, you've gone a long way toward helping them understand what seems to be a complicated topic.
Those are just a few examples of how teaching about business and economics can be made simple, easily understandable, and as relevant as your evening news. All of the Durell teaching kits provide the tools for this kind of interactive learning. the kind that counts.
I teach a college economics course on the high school level, and I use the kit called the ABCs of Money and Banking. I find that it provides students with an easier way of grasping the most difficult concepts in economics.
The way I use these kits in my classroom is I use them as backup to the textbook, both in economics and business concepts and strategies. And I find them excellent because there are very few materials out there that have the videos that go along with the lesson plans and also the text that is very concise and helps the students understand at their level.
Each kit contains 6 components. The anchor of the kits is a detailed book on the topic, which is appropriate for teacher background reading or for use as a student textbook. And current users say they're remarkable for making simple what can be very complex topics. Accompanying each kit is an entertaining and educational video of about 25 minutes in length, which provides an overview of the topic and is designed to pique students' interest in the subject. Most users of the kits show the video to the class at the beginning of the teaching segment. Then after the material's been covered, it can be shown again as learning reinforcement. These videos are broadcast quality and have won a number of awards, including 4-star ratings from several video review organizations. In addition, each kit contains a student workbook designed to be used by each student. They're available at a quantity discount. Or you may reproduce selected exercises for distribution to students as assignments. The student study materials are designed to be interactive. They involve students in activities that simulate the real world. For example, the Demystifying the Stock Market kit includes a simple stock market game that allows students to pick a stock or a selection of stocks and then follow them in their local newspaper. Each kit includes an instructor's manual that explains how to use the materials and provides the answers to the exercises in the workbooks. And each kit includes overhead transparency masters covering the important concepts. They can be used as teaching aids. Finally, each of the kits includes a wall chart illustrating some aspect of the topic that can be displayed in classrooms or offices.
The teaching kit comes with lesson plans, and the lesson plans are organized in units, which makes it very easy for a teacher to follow the lesson plan, incorporate the textbook itself or the video, and present the material to the students so that they can understand it better. And it helps you to focus and organize your whole plan for that particular unit. I found them very helpful.
The kits I find are great for students to internalize the information. Not only do they present it first in a clear, concise way, they actually repeat it at the end and make sure that it's understood completely.
I feel the kits are very useful both to myself and my students because there's very few kits out there that give you not only the videos but the lesson plans and the text that go along with it. There's very few choices for high school economics teachers, and these kits do an excellent job of backing up the material you're teaching your students.
The Durell Teaching Kit series includes 5 related packages which can be used separately as segments of semester-length courses or combined as one full semester course. You may purchase individual packages or all 5. And additional student workbooks and textbooks may be purchased at quantity discounts. Each kit contains an easy-to-read textbook for students or teachers, an entertaining and educational videotape, a student workbook and lesson plans, an instructor's manual, overhead transparency masters, and a colorful wall chart. For a very small investment, you get a flexible and powerful teaching tool. The kits are being used successfully by thousands of teachers around the country, teachers who understand that education doesn't get more relevant than this.